Been a while since we've had our old friend Marcos Berton on after he got beat up by half the country about his Hall of Fame votes. But Marcos is a guy you can throw your sticks and stones. Ain't his first rodeo, to say the least. And this morning, he has an article in the Sacramento Bee on the divorce between the A's and Oakland, and he says Sacramento is the antidote, the one, the only, the lovely, the talented Marcos Berton. Good morning, amigo. How are you?
Good morning.
Good morning.
So, as things begin to heat up, and it's beginning to sound more like a when this happens as opposed to an if, but of course, with John Fisher and friends, you never know until the you-know-who has sung. Marcos, you are proponents of the A's relocating, at least for temporarily, 2-3 years to Sacramento.
Yeah, I mean, listen, sports business can be ugly, and I don't think there's anything uglier than the situation that's playing out in Oakland, and it may not work out. It's looking like it's not going to work out, and so that would leave the A's with 2 or 3 years where they wouldn't be, playing at the Oakland Coliseum, presumably. And my whole point of writing this thing is I've seen, unnamed people on social media kind of twisting themselves in knots over this.
You can say me.
Well, not just you, but others as well. And listen, I'm not even going to get into the A's ownership, and what's been said has been said, including by me, and it's not going to change things. The simple point is, though, that in the last couple of years, Vivek Ranadive purchased the Sacramento River Cats. They have control over the Southern Health Park, and the owner of the Kings and the owner of the River Cats went out of his way to give an interview to talk about how Sacramento is and could be a great market for Major League Baseball. And when I really thought about this, I thought there's no downside for Sacramento, but even if it was like a 3-year rental of having the A's here, we're not a community that's trying to rip a team away from another. The owners already voted to approve the move to Las Vegas. The Nevada legislature already allocated hundreds of millions of dollars that would go to a stadium in Las Vegas. That has happened with or without Sacramento. And so my question today was, why not? Why not have them here for 3 seasons? At the very least, as an audition for Sacramento and Major League Baseball.
Yeah, Marcos, I'm with you on that because Dave and I have been differing a little bit on this. And to some extent, my stance has been, look, I priority one would be to keep him there. I think I always like teams staying if that can work out, but it seems like we're at the point of no return. And if there is a spot where they're leaving as a go-between between somewhere in Vegas and Salt Lake's being mentioned and some other Bay Area opportunities or Sacramento, then I'm with you. Why not Sacramento? So if it does become a possibility, Marcos, what's your belief on, there's only so much amount of disposable income for Sacramentans. How do you think they would do on a 3-year run here if they're still this version of the A's where they're winning 50 to 60 games, but it would be new to Sacramento? How do you think they would do, let's say, for their 3 years at home in Sacramento?
I mean, it's a 14,000-seat stadium when it's completely packed. And I think that we would fill that stadium with ease regularly, if not every single home game. Look, I'm not going to make any comments about, would that end up netting a larger season attendance than where the A's currently are. The situation is what it is. But I do think that Sacramento has demonstrated for a very long time that people turn out, people support the local sports teams. They support the art scene. They support the restaurant scene. They support the music scene. They support big festivals. They support the Run to Feed the Hungry, which is the biggest Thanksgiving race in America. People in Sacramento turn out. It's what we do. And I understand people's deep feelings about the state of the A's. And do I wish that the A's would stay in Oakland? I do. I've been going to the Oakland Coliseum since 1971, and it was at one time it was a great place to watch baseball. Obviously, that's not the case anymore, and I feel that, and I think a lot of people feel that Sacramento would completely sell out the stadium for the time that the A's were here, with or without the current owners. That people would go out to support the product because we would have Major League Baseball in Sacramento, and I just don't see a downside for our community. I certainly see a downside for Oakland, but that train left already, and it had nothing to do with us.
Marcos Bertone joining us. Marcos, do we know that Oakland's dead for the A's?
We don't. I mean, I'd be the first. People thought that Sacramento was dead for the Kings,
right.
like 17 times, right. And so it's never dead until it's dead. And the Las Vegas mayor even said when she was interviewed about it, she thinks that what the A's want more than anything is the waterfront stadium in Oakland. They probably do, but that plan has been on people's minds for a decade, and it has barely moved. So is there still a chance? Is there still a chance that they could renew their lease at the Oakland Coliseum and play from 25 to 27 there? Yes, there is. Those conversations are ongoing, but the way things are going, there's also a pretty high probability that those talks will not pan out, and then Sacramento presumably could be in play at that point.
Here's where I'm going. There's a lot of A's fans that have referred to John Fisher as a rat, and there's a lot of bad blood there. And anyone who's ever had a rat in their house knows that one of the best ways to get rid of that rat is to take away all possible exits until the only place the rat can go is out the sliding glass door. And here's where my issue is. I don't know that Oakland is dead. I know that Vegas has been approved, but I also know that this guy has a chronic disability when it comes to closing deals. You mentioned Carolyn Goodman, the Vegas mayor. There's something that may go on the ballot here very quick from the teachers down there. There's all kinds of political issues in Vegas. Vegas is far from a done deal, not even to mention the fact that there's doubts that the proposed stadium that they put out can even fit on the site. Plus Bally's, who co-owns the site, is having it. There's a lot of stuff. Anyways, here's my point. If the rat is loose and is trying to get to Las Vegas, if we broker them here for 3 years as Sacramento, I feel like we're effectively providing them an alternate escape route, taking away leverage from Oakland, and therefore reducing the possibility that they could stay permanently, no matter how small it is. But like you said, we've dealt with this before in Oakland. So in effect, to me, my ethical issue is that it's a bit hypocritical for me. Marcos, you were involved heavily. We were all involved heavily in the Kings thing. I'm tossing and turning with the idea of giving John Fisher any extra exits when you and I both know that if the mayor of Tacoma had said, we'll house the Kings until the arena is built in Seattle, we'd have been pissed off at Tacoma. It's just, I'm not saying you or anyone else is a bad person for wanting this. I agree with all the benefits to Sacramento. That is unimpeachable and undeniable, but it feels like my best friend's wife broke up with him, and before she gets to her new husband, he's got to get out of the military in 3 years so she can stay in my room for those 3 years until he's ready to take over.
Well, a couple things. I don't think Oakland's got much leverage, actually, and if it's, say if Sacramento stood down on principle, there's always Salt Lake, there's always someplace else. There'll always be someplace else. And I don't think the situation is analogous to a best friend where you're talking about love and emotion. This is business. It has nothing to do with love. I mean, it has to do with love for A's fans, certainly. They feel it. They feel it for the team. But this process isn't being driven by love. It's being driven by money. And so the deal that the A's apparently have wanted in Oakland all this time doesn't seem possible, and it doesn't seem like they're going to be able to close it. So we could stand down, certainly, but I don't see where that would make sense for Sacramento, because, again, the argument that I would make is that first of all, they couldn't have moved the team to Tacoma because the Kings were for sale, and so they're materialized a viable ownership group in Sacramento that gave NBA owners an alternative to allowing the sale to go through. So the Kings are still here. The A's are not for sale. And luckily for us, Las Vegas was not in play for the Kings a decade ago, because it might have been a different story at that point. But Las Vegas is in play for the A's. And so all the parameters of these deals are different, and so it really is can the A's make it work in Oakland? It could still happen, but it gets more unlikely by the day, and so the only way Sacramento would be in play is if there were a divorce. If there were a divorce, it would have nothing to do with us. And if we said, no, we don't want to be a part of this because we don't want to, well, upstep Salt Lake or some other place. It's not. I just don't see a direct line between us and stabbing Oakland in the back when the forces that are driving this have really nothing to do with Sacramento. So Sacramento then happens to benefit from it. It's not, to me, it's not a betrayal of Oakland. It's just the way that this thing went.
Marcos, on a follow-up on that, on the follow the money, why aren't the A's for sale in your mind? What is Fisher's end game? Because there are reportedly other people like Joe Lacob who would do what he could to keep that team there and put him on the waterfront. What do you think his end game is here, and why won't he put them up for sale?
I mean, that's a really great question that I would only be speculating. At this point, I think all of us would only be speculating, but Joe Lacob has said publicly before that he would be interested, and the Fishers have not responded to that. You know, owning a major sports franchise, it becomes it's most lucrative if the team is for sale, and so it indicates, at least at this point, a desire by that ownership group. They want to stay in business. They want to stay in the baseball business. And maybe raise the value of the team through a relocation and then sell it at that point. And again, that's only speculation, but at least at this point, the A's are not for sale, and that makes it even more complicated for Oakland, because they don't have the ability to have another ownership group provide an alternative the way Sacramento did. And maybe it's a case where the Fishers are not in financial distress the way the previous Kings owners were. And the deal before Seattle, as we all remember, was to Orange County, and that deal contained a massive loan to the previous owners of the Kings, and it was one of the factors that ended up leading to that deal being rejected. And so in a sense, we were far more fortunate in Sacramento that we did not have an owner that was stubbornly hanging on to the team, because at that point, as we all know, the other owners are going to be deferential to an owner that wants to hold on to the team. So the team is not for sale. Therefore, the team is going to go where the owner wants to take it. And unfortunately for Oakland, they seem to be stuck with John Fisher.
And we're out of time here, Marcos, but real quick, the Kings weren't for sale until several relocations fell through, though. We're forgetting. I think that's an important part. Until the Maloofs got smoked out of the whole thing. Remember, they weren't for sale either until they agreed to sell to Chris Hansen. I see the parallels there with Fisher about him getting blocked until the team is for sale. It's not like the Maloofs were selling the team from day one. That didn't happen until Seattle.
Right. And maybe 5 years from now or whenever that'll happen with the A's, but presently that's not the case. Listen, nobody knows where this thing's going to go, but I don't think it harms anyone, nor does it indicate anything negative about Sacramento for saying that this can be and should be a landing spot for either this Major League Baseball team or one in the future. And if the A's situation doesn't work out, then I think that Sacramento would benefit from having a Major League team here. And come on, you telling me it wouldn't be fantastic to have Major League Baseball right on the banks of West Sacramento?
Be a dream come true. Be a dream come true. It would be amazing. Yeah, I would love it. We have to break. But Marcos, one of the many reasons I love you is that we have had many a disagreement over the years, but in the end, we both very much love this city. Whether it's Gary Sheffield or ripping the hearts out of Oakland fans, no one's more stone-hearted than Marcos Breton of the Sacramento Bee. You can read his article, and we encourage you at sacbee.com today. Support local journalism, of course, and I'm sure we'll be having many more of these talks as well. But I appreciate your perspective and really appreciate your time on short notice today, buddy.
It's always a pleasure. Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
All right, take care. That's Marcos. We're way late for a break. Our apologies. Let's pay some bills when we get back. Hey,